Hi, Nadine.
Hi.
Hi, come in.
Thanks.
Take a seat.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming back.
I'm happy to be here, yeah.
So you tolerated the Australian accent okay?
Yes, yeah, me too.
Okay. Look, if it's okay with you, what I'd like to start with today is by reviewing that questionnaire we got you to fill in, the QoL.BD.
Yeah.
And so I've got your results here.
Okay.
And what you'll see I've done, you know you've filled in those 56 items. What I've just done is averaged the scores in the across 4 items in each of those sort of domain areas. And this is just the summary of what we found.
Okay.
And I just want to explore this to get to understand you better and see how your quality of life's going. So the first thing that I notice is really lots of positives. Even though you're obviously adjusting to a diagnosis of bipolar disorder, I know there's still some issues with the medication.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of strengths in your life. There are a lot of areas that are really going very well. Can you just tell me a bit about that?
I started my master's about a year or so ago, and career-wise, I play the cello and I'm doing a lot of engagements, traveling quite a bit. I moved in with my boyfriend and exercising, so yeah, things are going pretty well anyway. Yeah.
In those areas?
Yeah.
Is your boyfriend also a musician?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and supportive, really supportive.
Okay. And so music's absolutely fundamental to who you are. It's a passion. Yeah. Can you just, for my own curiosity, how did that start?
Well, my mum and dad loved music, and I guess I went to a concert when I was, 8 or something. And
What concert was it?
Oh God, I just remember it was a pianist, and I just fell in love with the whole pageantry of everything. So I just, I bugged my mum for lessons of any kind, and then it just started from there. So.
And it's turned into your lifestyle, your career. You're doing a master's in music.
Yeah.
Your boyfriend's a musician. It's turned into.
It's just it's how I think almost. Yeah.
So there's a huge array of strengths around that passion. You've started with a passion and have elaborated it, if you will, into a whole set of strengths and a whole lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then I suppose the other thing that I think about with this, this obvious wonderful passion you've got that's working so well for you in many ways, it also sounds like you set pretty high goals. So you're touring, you're quite well known, and you've also started to study a master's in music. Does this habit of setting high goals ever get you into any trouble?
Well, I guess, when I look back, I guess when I started the masters and all these sort of major things, it was probably right around the time when I was diagnosed. So I guess in some ways, there's the energy that I have and hindsight that I see, I start to really put a lot on my plate, and it can be overwhelming sometimes to manage, I guess. Yeah.
That could turn out to be something that we will have a look at. So it's actually, as you might have heard, creativity is a common correlate of having bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And one of the things we often see is that creative lifestyle is very seductive in a way. It's exciting to do these things, but sometimes we have to look very carefully at moderating some of those choices. And so maybe down the track we will have a little look at that. Another thing that stands out for me in the QoL.BD results that we've got is sleep. Now that stands out as really a pretty severe problem. Can you tell me a bit about that?
I don't. I think probably because I travel, and I'm traveling through a lot of time zones, and I'm on planes, so I'm not. I guess I could sleep, but I don't sleep on planes, so I don't get very regular kind of sleep, and so a lot of times I just get naps when I can and stuff, and then the late nights of all the engagements and stuff. So.
Have you noticed an association between your sleep and your mood?
When I either get really irritable or I start to just feel like a slide down because I just don't have the energy and things like that.
Yeah, it's a really common issue in bipolar disorder.
Yeah. Or if I don't sleep as much, then I start to see myself go up.
A bit excited.
Yeah.
It's a really important mechanism in staying well in bipolar disorder, and so we will definitely, there's actually some very useful strategies that we can talk about moderating that, about making sleep more regular, so we'll definitely have a look at that a bit down the track.
Oh, okay.
And then the other thing that strikes me is you're not happy with your social domain of life. That strikes me as a bit I was a bit surprised about that. You know, you're a performer, you're obviously meeting people all the time. My experience of you is you're pretty sociable. I'm surprised to see that you're not happy with the social domain of life.
Well, I mean, I've always been really anxious. I'm good at being in social situations at times, but since a kid I was always feeling awkward and never really fit in. And then at times I embarrass myself and I say completely like the wrong thing. I've lost some friendships, and I always just seem to say the wrong thing. So when I'm performing, I'm doing music, I'm fine, but it's when I do the social interactions, I just don't feel comfortable, and I'd sometimes just rather not participate in those as much.
So the social domain, interacting with people, can be a pressure.
Yeah, because I don't feel like I do it very well.
Okay, so you pick on yourself a bit about this.
Yeah.
I can see you've been thinking about this a lot, and one of the things that it reminds me of is one of your other scores on the QoL.BD in the identity domain. That's also low, and that was a bit of a surprise to me, just on my sort of impressions of who you are.
Well, I guess when I was first diagnosed and I started then realizing what I got to understand what the illness was about, then I started looking back at some of the things that I did and wondering where is it just me or is it my symptoms? So, there's just like the things that I've said that have been completely inappropriate, wondering if they're, I guess, part of what the hypomania.
Yep.
And so now I sort of get confused because I'm not sure where I am in all this.
So the sort of where you stop and the disorder starts, that's sort of working that out. Because as a young person, you're only 24, these issues, it's not really clear where the core of Nadine is in a way. Maybe is that one of the things that? Yeah,
because I've just identified with just not being good and like feeling always anxious, but now looking back, not sure exactly what part is the illness and when part is me.
And I think this would be a really good environment for us to have some discussions about that. It's a very common experience of people when they're newly diagnosed with bipolar disorder, especially younger people. And I hope that you would feel comfortable in here using this space to have that sort of exploration. And then one of the things that occurs to me, you're a performer, you live in a very social world, but it sounds like you're now telling me you put a lot of effort into being liked, perhaps, or into how you appear in social situations. This is really striking for me, how much effort must be put in to just sort of turn up.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah.
And so how might that play out between us? What's it like for you to talk about these issues in here?
Well, I guess I feel like a bit of pressure to sort of perform, be the good patient. And I mean, it's sort of my MO, so I'm sure it's just like any other part of my life, so I would probably do the same sort of thing, I think, And then when I'm on my own, and then I don't have to have that pressure, and I don't have the same I feel like I don't have to do the same sort of effort, then I just realize how much I am putting out that energy to fit in and just to put on that sort of brave sort of face, I guess, and just realizing how I don't always feel like that, and just wondering, where I'm. Just anyway, that I don't always feel as good as I thought I did, and no one else knows, so I feel quite alone, and yeah, it just sometimes we just want to check out.
Sometimes the struggle gets too much.
Yeah, it can be quite overwhelming.
Thank you for choosing to take the risk of letting me know that. I really appreciate it. And again, I think this is the sort of thing that we can form a very useful working relationship around. Thanks.